Hello everyone, my name is Deborah Young and this is my oral presentation of my Capstone project titled Technology, Friend or Foe? In this presentation, I will be discussing the problem, review of relevant literature, my methods, and my reflective findings and discussions. This presentation also includes slides of my references and my Appendix A and B, which include my reflection journal and weekly Google Forms. So without further ado, let's get started. First off, the problem. Let's take a look at the statistics that are on the right side of the screen. As you can see, there has been a dramatic increase in the usage of technology in the classroom. Now, along with that has also become an increase in defiance, behavior problems, and emotional disconnection amongst students. These statistics led me to wonder if there was a relationship between technology and social-emotional learning. Therefore, the primary question for my capstone project was, what is the relationship between technology and social-emotional learning? My secondary question was, what is the best way for teachers to assess students' social-emotional learning growth? Now, before I continue in my presentation, I would like to share with you the two very important words that I will be using throughout the rest of this presentation. One of them being technology. Technology is software, digital devices such as computers, iPads, Chromebooks, etc. And under the umbrella of technology also includes online applications and tools. Social-emotional learning is the learning and practicing of skills such as self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. These skills are used for things such as collaboration, problem-solving, reaching goals, etc. Now let's move forward to the review of relevant literature. As we saw in the statistics from the previous slide, technology in the classroom has definitely increased. Therefore, standards now include technology, and the name of these standards are called the ISTE standards. ISTE stands for International Society for Technology in Education. According to the literature that I have found, many authors claim that technology is just a tool. It just is what it is. The power of technology actually lies in the hands of the teacher. How is it being used? What is it being used for? What is the goal of using certain technology? Which leads me to my next slide. Teachers using technology for social-emotional learning. Now, unfortunately, many teachers have said that they have no time to teach social-emotional learning due to the demands of reaching academic standards. They have no support from, or no to little support from parents and families, and also administration. And therefore, teachers have felt that they are unprepared and not trained to really help students in social-emotional learning. And with that being said, it is very difficult for them to feel prepared to use technology for social-emotional learning. In order for teachers to really see student growth in social and emotional learning, they need to take assessments. There are many factors that can affect students' social and emotional growth, such as their family members, the culture of their family, teachers and friends and other administrators, and their own physical growth. The social-emotional learning skills of a first grader is going to be drastically different than that of a sixth grader. According to the literature that I found, here are some of the suggestions that teachers should take when creating assessments. First, creating and making sure that you have a common language between family members, students, and other teachers. The common language helps with communication, and it allows everybody to be involved together. Next, making sure that your assessments are ethical and that they align with the standards that you're trying to assess. Also, making sure that the assessment is intentional for educational use and that the questions that are being asked in the assessment actually match with what is being measured. Now, I know that online learning started way long time ago, and one of the bigger online learning examples are the Khan Academy. However, due to COVID, online learning has been significantly increased and is now one of the main settings for student learning. The definition for online learning is learning that takes place over the internet and is not in a traditional classroom setting. Now, online learning has many pros and cons. The positive aspects of online learning are that it is convenient, provides flexible learning environment, customized learning, and allows teachers to give faster feedback to their students. However, due to research, we have also realized that there are some negative aspects of online learning, such as students feel lonely, they feel frustrated, there's confusion with the lack of communication, there's lack of discipline and less accountability. Now let's take a look at the methods that I took in order to complete this capstone project. Here are some things about the school district that I work in. It is in Orange County with a total of 6 schools, teaching from grade levels from preschool all the way to 6th grade. And I also provide academic statistics and statistics for the number of students and the ratio from student to teacher. On this slide, you can also see demographic statistics and other types of student statistics, such as how many English learning learners there are in the district and how many females and males, low-income families, etc. Now, one important aspect of my district is that ever since COVID began, we actually had 3 tracks for students to choose: hybrid, distance, and in-person. As the researcher, what I did was I observed, I collected data, I triangulated, formulated, and made conclusions. What I observed from my students, I wrote in my reflection journals. I collected data by asking students on a weekly basis for their responses to assessment questions that dealt with social emotional learning and with technology. And then I triangulated all of the literature that I found along with my reflection journal and student forms. After triangulating and gathering all of my information, I created my conclusions based off everything that I had found. And this shows my plan for reflective exploration of my problem. So let's dive deeper into the actual findings that I got through my triangulating and collection of data. 13 out of the 14 students said that technology really helps them with communication. However, there were some students that, even though they agreed that technology helps them with communication, internet service is a whole nother beast. And so because of that, they oftentimes became frustrated with using technology. And because they were doing distance learning, they had to rely on technology for communication very, very heavily. Also, according to my observations and according to the responses that my students gave in their weekly assessment reflection survey, was that technology gave them opportunities to collaborate and communicate and work out different problems. However, there were still students that struggled to use their social emotional learning skills and therefore actually responded in the Google Form survey saying that they did not like group projects because they did not like to collaborate with other group members. I thought that was really interesting because as I was observing, there were a group of students that were really working together and really figuring out how to communicate through technology. On the other side, there were students that did not want to try to work with their group members, even though they had explicitly expressed to me that they liked the technology tool that we were using in class. All of this information I found and I wrote down in my reflection journal, and I also saw in the self-reflection Google Forms that I sent out once a week. The weekly self-reflection Google Forms were very, very helpful. And in order to answer my secondary question of what is the best way of assessing student emotional social learning growth is, I think, providing students an opportunity to assess and self-reflect is very, very important and very, very beneficial for teachers and family members. I also found that sending out these assessments to the students on a consistent basis was very helpful because they learned how to reflect on their own actions, their thoughts, and their emotions, and they were able to express themselves better and better as the weeks went by. In conclusion, technology is ultimately a tool. Computers, devices, online learning, those are all different types of technology that have a potential for helping or not helping student social emotional growth. Therefore, it is very, very important for teachers to plan and to be very intentional and very purposeful with the technology that they are using in the classroom. My recommendations for future practices are to 1. Take time to set the pace for using technology. If your school district is going to and moving forward to an online setting, I believe that first starting off in a blended classroom learning environment or a hybrid type of learning environment, a helpful way to first let the teacher set the pace for the students and to really give very clear directions. Leads me to my next recommendation. When teachers are using technology, it is very important that teachers give clear directions and express and communicate to the students very clearly the intention and the purpose of what the technology is for. My next recommendation is to always be in communication with parents and with the administration and with the students, making sure that all parties are communicating with a common language. Last but not least, my final recommendation is to make sure that teachers are getting trained in using technology, in supporting social emotional learning growth, and how to use technology to help social emotional learning growth. Thank you for listening to my oral presentation, and here are my references. And here is my Appendix A and also my Appendix B. You may click on each icon, see each one. Thank you again.